Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The night was draped in the kind of darkness that seemed to thicken the air, a shroud that wrapped around my thoughts, heavy and opaque. I stared out the window, waiting for Lauren to return. This had become a ritual of sorts, my vigil in the living room, watching the clock's hands drag through the hours, waiting for the sound of her keys in the door. My fingers drummed against the leather armrest of the couch, a steady, nervous beat that matched the racing of my heart. Lately, Lauren had been going out more often, each night blending into the next. At first, it was just the occasional evening with her girlfriends, but now it seemed every night held some excuse. Some girls' night out, or catching up with old friends. And each time she left, her smile was too bright, her voice too eager. I could see it in her eyes, something was off, something that twisted my gut with a sickening sense of foreboding. I had always trusted Lauren. Our marriage had been solid, at least I thought it had been. But the late-night outings, the sudden, unexplained absences, they all added up to a gnawing suspicion. And then there was the dress. That fatal dress. The one she wore tonight. I remember the first time I saw Lauren in that dress. It was at a friend's wedding. She had walked into the room, her presence like a sudden burst of light. The way the fabric hugged her curves, the deep crimson color that made her skin glow, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders in loose waves. I was captivated, ensnared. It was the night I fell in love with her. Now, as I watched her twirl in front of the mirror earlier this evening, adjusting the straps, applying her lipstick with deliberate precision, I felt a coldness settle in my chest. It wasn't just a dress anymore. It was a weapon, a tool she was using to deceive me. My mind replayed the scene over and over, Lauren looking at her reflection, a satisfied smile playing at the corners of her mouth. And then her eyes flicked to mine in the mirror, that smile faltering for just a second before she said, "I'm going out with the girls, don't wait up." I nodded, swallowing the bitterness that threatened to spill over. My voice betrayed none of the turmoil inside. "Have fun," I said, forcing a smile. She turned, kissed me lightly on the cheek, an act that felt more obligatory than affectionate, and left. The sound of the door clicking shut was like the final nail in the coffin of my doubts. I stood there for a moment, staring at the empty hallway, feeling the resolve harden inside me. Tonight, I would follow her. Tonight, I would find out the truth. Grabbing my keys from the table, I slipped out into the night, keeping a safe distance as I followed her car. The city streets blurred into a haze of neon lights and dark shadows, my mind racing faster than the vehicle I trailed. My heart pounded against my ribs, a drumbeat of anger and fear. Where was she going? Who was she meeting? The questions echoed in my head, each one a strike against the walls of my sanity. Lauren's car finally pulled into the parking lot of a swanky restaurant, the kind we used to frequent together on special occasions. I parked across the street, far enough not to be seen but close enough to watch her every move. My hands clenched the steering wheel as I saw her step out of the car, smoothing down that damn dress, checking her reflection in the side mirror before heading inside. I waited a few minutes, letting my pulse settle, then slipped out of my car. The restaurant's interior was dimly lit, the soft hum of conversation and clinking glasses masking my footsteps as I entered. I stayed near the back, my eyes scanning the room for Lauren. It didn't take long to find her. She was seated at a table near the corner, her back to me. But it wasn't her girlfriends that sat across from her. It was a man. An elegant guy, all clean lines and confidence, his hand resting casually on the table, dangerously close to hers. I watched as he leaned forward, saying something that made her laugh, a light, melodic sound that once filled our home with joy. Now, it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. And then it happened. He stood, moved closer, and kissed her on the lips. A quick, intimate gesture that spoke volumes. My blood ran cold, my mind struggling to process what my eyes had just witnessed. There it was, the confirmation of my worst fears. Lauren was really cheating on me. I wanted to march over there, grab him by the collar, demand answers, shout, rage, do anything to release the storm building inside me. But I didn't. Instead, I turned and walked out, my movements mechanical, my face numb. The cool night air hit me like a slap, but it did nothing to clear the fog of anger clouding my mind. Sitting back in my car, I stared at the restaurant, the glow of its sign mocking me. This was my life now. My wife, the woman I loved, was in there with another man. She had chosen him over me. I felt a mixture of heartbreak and a rising fury. My thoughts turned dark, the need for revenge burning hotter than the pain. I started the engine, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. I would make her pay for this betrayal. I would ruin her fate, just as she had ruined mine. Divorce was the first step, but it wouldn't be the last. I had been a fool to trust her, but now, the game had changed. I was no longer the clueless husband. I was the one in control, and I would make sure she knew it. As I drove away, the restaurant faded into the distance, the city's lights blurring past. My heart was a hardened stone in my chest, my mind set on one thing, making Lauren regret the day she ever thought she could deceive me. Morning light slices through the blinds, cutting across my face, forcing me to wake from the restless sleep that claimed me after I finally got home. My mind is still clouded with the images of Lauren and that man, locked in an intimate moment at the restaurant. I can't shake the memory. It's like a poison, seeping through my veins, dulling my senses. I roll out of bed, the chill of the hardwood floor biting against my bare feet. Lauren is already up. I hear the clatter of dishes and the hum of the kettle from the kitchen. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for the encounter. I need to act normal, as if everything is fine. If she senses anything, it could ruin everything. I walk down the hall, my hand brushing the wall for support. As I enter the kitchen, I see her standing by the stove, her back to me, her long hair cascading over her shoulders. She's humming softly to herself, an old tune we used to listen to together. The sound sends a pang through my chest, but I bury it quickly. I need to stay focused. Morning, I say, forcing my voice to sound light. Lauren turns, a smile playing on her lips. Good morning, sleepyhead, she replies. I was about to make coffee. Want some? Sure, I nod, watching her move with a grace that used to captivate me. Now, it only fills me with suspicion. Did you have fun last night? She pauses for the briefest moment, so quick that if I hadn't been looking, I would have missed it. Yeah, it was great, she says, her voice smooth. Just some drinks and laughs with the girls. You know how it is. I nod, trying to keep my face neutral. I'm glad you had fun. She hands me a mug of coffee, her fingers brushing mine for a moment. The contact sends a jolt through me, but I keep my expression steady. Any plans for today? She asks, taking a sip of her own coffee, her eyes watching me over the rim of the mug. Just work, I say, shrugging. And you? Not much. Might do some shopping, maybe meet up with Rachel later, she says, turning away to put the kettle back. The mention of Rachel's name makes my jaw clench. Rachel is one of her best friends, and the perfect alibi. I wonder if Rachel even knows what Lauren is really up to. Sounds good, I reply, my voice calm. But inside, my thoughts are swirling. I need to get out of here, away from her before I say something I shouldn't. I grab my coat and keys, telling Lauren I need to get to the office early. She waves me off with a smile, turning back to her breakfast. As I step outside, the crisp air hits my face, clearing my mind. I walk down the street, the sound of my shoes against the pavement the only noise. I need a plan. I can't confront her yet. Not until I know more. The day drags on, each minute stretching into an eternity. I can't focus on work, the numbers and figures blurring together on my computer screen. All I can think about is Lauren and that man. Who is he? How long has this been going on? I need answers. By lunchtime, I can't stand it any longer. I grab my phone and dial the number of the one person I know can help me. Ryan. We've been friends since college, and if there's anyone I can trust, it's him. Hey, man, Ryan's voice comes through the line, cheerful as always. What's up? I need to talk to you, I say, keeping my voice low. Can you meet me at the corner cafe in 30 minutes? Sure, everything okay? He asks, the concern evident in his tone. Just, meet me there, I say before hanging up. The cafe is quiet when I arrive, the lunchtime rush not yet in full swing. I take a seat in the back, away from prying eyes. Ryan arrives a few minutes later, his tall frame and easy smile bringing a sense of normalcy to the chaos in my head. He sits across from me, his expression turning serious when he sees the look on my face. What's going on? He asks, leaning forward. I take a deep breath, my fingers tapping nervously on the table. It's Lauren, I say finally. I think she's cheating on me. Ryan's eyes widen in surprise. What? Lauren? Are you sure? I followed her last night, I admit, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. She said she was going out with friends, but she met a man at a restaurant. I saw them kiss. Ryan whistles softly, leaning back in his chair. Damn. I didn't see that coming. Are you sure it wasn't just a friend? No, I say, shaking my head. It wasn't just a friendly kiss. There's something going on, and I need to find out what. Ryan nods, his face serious. Okay, what do you need me to do? I need you to help me find out who he is, I say, my voice firm. I need to know everything. Where he works, where he lives, what his connection to Lauren is. Can you do that? Ryan nods, his eyes narrowing with determination. Consider it done. I'll start digging around, see what I can find. But what are you going to do? I stare out the window, my mind running through 1,000 possibilities. I don't know yet, I admit. But I'm not just going to let this go. I'm going to make her pay for what she's done. She thinks she can get away with this, but she has no idea what's coming. Ryan nods, his jaw set. All right, man. I'm with you. We'll get to the bottom of this. We finish our conversation, laying out a plan to uncover the truth. As we part ways, I feel a sense of resolve settle over me. This isn't just about Lauren's betrayal anymore. It's about taking back control, about making her understand the pain she's caused. I know it's going to get messy, that there will be consequences. But as I walk back to my car, the only thing I feel is a cold, hard determination. Lauren thinks she can play games with my heart, with my life. She has no idea what she's unleashed. The game has begun, and I'm going to make sure I win. The following days pass in a blur of routine, each one indistinguishable from the last. I go to work, exchange pleasantries with my colleagues, and return home to a wife I can barely look at without feeling a surge of anger. But beneath the surface, the tension coils tighter. I keep my distance from Lauren, pretending to be busy with work projects and late-night meetings. She seems relieved by my absence, which only fuels the fire burning inside me. If she notices my lack of affection or my distant stares, she doesn't let on. It's late Thursday night when Ryan calls, just as I'm finishing up at the office. I grab my phone, anticipation tightening my chest. He's found something, I can feel it. Hey, I've got news, Ryan says without preamble. Meet me at our usual spot in 30 minutes. Be right there, I reply, my voice taut with a mix of dread and eagerness. The usual spot is an old bar tucked away in a corner of downtown, dimly lit with a jukebox that hasn't worked in years and a bartender who's seen more than his fair share of broken hearts. I push through the door, the smell of stale beer and cigarette smoke washing over me. Ryan's already there, sitting in a booth at the back, a beer in front of him. I slide into the seat across from him, my eyes searching his face for answers. He doesn't waste time. The guy's name is Jason Miller, he says, pushing a folder across the table. He's a lawyer at that big firm on 5th. The one with all the high-profile cases. He's single, no kids, lives in a condo uptown. And he's been seen with Lauren more than just that one night. I flip open the folder, my eyes scanning the contents. There are photos of Jason, tall and well-dressed, his arm around Lauren at various locations, a cafe, a park, even outside a hotel. My heart sinks as the reality of their relationship solidifies. It's not just a fling. This has been going on for a while. Where did you get these? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. I have a friend who's a private investigator, Ryan says, taking a swig of his beer. He did some digging, followed Lauren a few times. Apparently, this has been going on for months. They meet up at least twice a week, mostly during the day, sometimes at night. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. Months. She's been lying to me for months, living a double life. My hands shake as I close the folder, trying to steady my breathing. And no one else knows. None of her friends. Not that we can tell, Ryan says. Rachel might know something, but she hasn't said anything to anyone. She's a wild card. I nod, my mind racing. If Rachel knows, she's been covering for Lauren, feeding me lies. I grit my teeth, anger flaring up. How could they all betray me like this? What are you going to do? Ryan asks, his eyes dark with concern. I take a deep breath, trying to collect my thoughts. I'm going to confront her, I say finally, the decision settling over me like a weight. But not yet. I want to catch her in the act. I want her to have no way to lie her way out of this. Ryan nods, understanding in his eyes. I can have my friend follow them again, get more proof. Maybe catch them going into the hotel. That's exactly what I need, I say, my voice hard. Something she can't deny. Something that will leave her no choice but to admit what she's done. Ryan raises his glass, a grim smile on his face. To the truth, he says, and I clink my glass against his, the sound echoing in the small space. The days drag by, each one heavier with the secret I carry. I watch Lauren closely, looking for any signs of guilt or remorse, but she's a master of deception. She smiles, laughs, acts the part of the loving wife perfectly. The only difference is that now, I know it's all a lie. Finally, Ryan calls with the news I've been waiting for. They're meeting at the hotel tonight, he says, his voice low. He'll be there with a camera. We'll get everything we need. I hang up the phone, my hands shaking. This is it. Tonight, I'll have the proof. I'll be able to confront Lauren, to expose her lies. I tell Lauren I'm working late, and she barely looks up from her phone to acknowledge me. I watch her out of the corner of my eye as I leave, my heart pounding in my chest. Does she have any idea what's coming? Does she care? I drive to the hotel, my mind racing with thoughts of what I'll do, what I'll say. I park a block away, slipping into the shadows as I approach the building. Ryan's friend, Tony, is already there, a camera slung around his neck. He nods at me, his face impassive. They're in room 214, he says, handing me a set of photos. Just went in about 10 minutes ago. I look at the photos, my heart turning to stone. There's Lauren, looking radiant in that same red dress she wore the night I followed her. Jason is by her side, his hand on the small of her back as they enter the hotel. My blood boils, the urge to storm in there and confront them nearly overwhelming. Let's go, I say, my voice flat. Tony nods, and we make our way into the hotel, taking the stairs up to the second floor. My pulse pounds in my ears as we reach the door to room 214. I raise my hand to knock, then pause, my fist trembling. What if I'm wrong? What if there's some explanation? But I know there isn't. I know what I saw. I know what's in those photos. I pound on the door, the sound echoing down the empty hallway. There's a moment of silence, then the door opens. Lauren stands there, her eyes wide with shock, her face pale. "Mark," she says, her voice barely a whisper. "What are you doing here?" I push past her into the room, my eyes locking onto Jason, who is standing by the bed, looking just as shocked. "You think I'm an idiot?" I shout, my voice shaking with rage. "You think I wouldn't find out?" Lauren's eyes fill with tears, her hands trembling. "Mark, please, let me explain," she pleads. "No," I say, my voice cold. "You've done enough talking. It's my turn now." I turn to Tony, who's already snapping photos, capturing every moment. "Send those to me," I say. "I want her to see what she's done. I want everyone to see." Lauren's face crumples, and she sinks to the floor, sobbing. Jason steps forward, trying to say something, but I cut him off with a glare. "Stay out of this," I warn. "This is between me and my wife." I turn back to Lauren, my voice dropping to a low, menacing whisper. "You've made your choice. Now, you'll face the consequences." I storm out of the room, leaving Lauren and Jason behind, their voices calling after me. But I don't stop. I don't look back. The door slams shut behind me, and I walk away, my mind already racing with the next step. Lauren thought she could deceive me, that she could live a double life without consequences. But she was wrong. The game is over, and I intend to come out on top. I sit alone in the dark living room, the silence of the house pressing down on me. The clock ticks loudly on the wall, each second stretching into an eternity. I can still hear Lauren's sobs from the hotel room, her desperate pleas echoing in my mind. My heart is a stone, heavy with anger and betrayal. I know what I need to do. I need to end this once and for all. Lauren isn't home yet. She's probably still with Jason, trying to figure out how to salvage her lie, how to spin another web to trap me. But there's no way out this time. The evidence is irrefutable. I have the photos, the proof of her infidelity. I have the hotel manager's statement, confirming they've been meeting there for months. I've even managed to get copies of their text messages, thanks to Ryan's friend Tony. Every sickening word exchanged between them is now laid bare, every lie, every betrayal. The door creaks open, and Lauren steps inside, her face pale and drawn. She looks at me, her eyes red and swollen from crying. For a moment, we just stare at each other, the air between us thick with tension. "Mark," she begins, her voice trembling. "Please, let me explain." "There's nothing to explain," I cut her off, my voice like ice. I stand up, holding the folder in my hand. "It's all right here, Lauren. Everything. Your affair, your lies. It's over." She flinches, her eyes dropping to the floor. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I never wanted to hurt you. I just..." "You just what?" I shout, throwing the folder onto the coffee table, its contents spilling out. "You just wanted to have your fun. You just wanted to see how much you could get away with. Is that it?" "No," she cries, her voice breaking. "It wasn't like that, Mark. I was lonely. You were always working, always distracted. I felt invisible." The words hit me like a slap, but I don't let it show. "So you decided to cheat? That's your solution to feeling lonely?" "It wasn't supposed to be like this," she says, tears streaming down her face. "Jason was just, he was there. He made me feel alive again. I know it was wrong, but I couldn't stop." I laugh bitterly, the sound harsh and cold. "You couldn't stop. You could have stopped any time, Lauren. But you didn't. You chose him over and over again. She takes a step toward me, reaching out. Mark, please. We can fix this. We can go to counseling, try to work through this. I still love you. I step back, out of her reach. Don't, I say, my voice hard. Don't say you love me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Her face crumples, and she collapses onto the couch, sobbing. I watch her for a moment, feeling nothing but a cold satisfaction. This is what she deserves. She made her choice, and now she has to live with it. I'm filing for divorce, I say, my voice steady. I've already spoken to a lawyer. You'll get the papers in the morning. I want you out of the house by the end of the week. Lauren looks up, her eyes wide with panic. Mark, no, please. Don't do this. I'll do anything. Just, don't leave me. I shake my head. It's too late for that, Lauren. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. This marriage is over. I turn to leave, but her voice stops me. There's something you don't know, she says, her voice trembling. Something I never told you. I pause, my hand on the doorknob. What is it? I ask, my voice flat. She takes a deep breath, her eyes filling with a new kind of fear. It's about Jason, she says. He's not who you think he is. I turn back to her, my eyes narrowing. What do you mean? He's not just some guy I met, she says, her voice shaking. He approached me months ago. He knew things about us, about our life. He said he was a private investigator, hired to look into you. He told me things that made me question everything about our marriage. He made me believe you were the one hiding something. My heart begins to pound. What are you talking about? Lauren's voice is a whisper now. He showed me photos, documents. He said you were having an affair, that you were planning to leave me. He said you had a secret bank account, that you were moving money out of our accounts. I stare at her, my mind reeling. That's a lie, I say, my voice shaking. I never did any of that. I know that now, she sobs. But he was so convincing. He had all this proof, all these details. I was scared, Mark. I didn't know what to believe. And he was there, comforting me, telling me everything would be okay. I didn't know he was manipulating me. A cold realization settles over me. Jason set this up, I say slowly. He planted those ideas in your head, knowing it would push you into his arms. Lauren nods, tears streaming down her face. I didn't realize it until today, until you confronted us at the hotel. When I saw the photos, the look in your eyes. I knew Jason had lied to me. I've been such a fool. I take a step back, my mind racing. This changes everything. Jason wasn't just some random guy. He had orchestrated this, played us both. But why? What was his endgame? My phone rings, breaking the silence. I glance at the screen. It's Ryan. Mark, you need to get out of there, Ryan's voice says urgently when I answer. Tony found out something. Jason's not who he says he is. He's not a lawyer or a private investigator. He's a con artist, a scammer. He's been targeting couples like you, manipulating them, then blackmailing them. He's dangerous, Mark. You need to leave, now. I feel the blood drain from my face. What does he want? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Money, Ryan says. He finds couples with financial assets, drives a wedge between them, then demands payment to keep quiet. Tony found out he's done this before, several times. He's a pro. I hang up, my mind whirling. I turn to Lauren, who's watching me with wide, terrified eyes. We need to leave, I say. Jason isn't who you think he is. He's dangerous. We need to go, now. Before she can respond, there's a knock on the door. I freeze, my heart pounding in my chest. Lauren's eyes go to the door, then back to me, fear etched on her face. It's him, isn't it? She whispers. I nod, my mind racing. Stay here, I say, moving toward the door. Don't say anything. I open the door a crack, just enough to see Jason standing there, his expression calm, almost friendly. Mark, he says smoothly. Can we talk? What do you want? I demand, keeping the door partly closed. Jason's smile doesn't falter. I think you know. Let's not make this difficult. We can settle this quietly. No need for anyone else to get hurt. Lauren appears behind me, her voice trembling. Jason, why are you doing this? Jason's eyes flick to her, and his smile widens. Ah, Lauren, the ever-trusting wife. Don't act surprised. You knew what this was. A transaction, nothing more. I push the door open wider, anger boiling up inside me. You used us, I say, my voice low. You manipulated Lauren, set this whole thing up. Why? Jason's smile fades, his eyes turning cold. Because it's what I do. And because people like you make it so easy. Now, here's how this is going to go. You're going to transfer $50,000 to my account by tomorrow morning, or I make sure your little affair makes it to the front page. Think of the scandal, the embarrassment. Is it worth it? I stare at him, my mind whirling. This is all just a game to him. But not anymore. No deal, I say, stepping back. Get out of my house. Jason's eyes narrow. You're making a mistake. I shake my head. The only mistake was trusting you. I slam the door in his face, turning the lock. Lauren looks at me, her eyes wide with fear. What are we going to do? She whispers. I take a deep breath, the anger settling into a cold resolve. We're going to fight back, I say. We're not going to let him win. But even as I say the words, I know the damage is already done. The trust between us is shattered, the wounds too deep to heal. As I look at Lauren, I realize that even if we manage to escape Jason's trap, we'll never escape the shadow of this betrayal. Lauren looks at me, her eyes filled with regret. I'm so sorry, Mark, she whispers. I never meant for any of this to happen. I nod, my heart aching with the weight of her words. I know, I say softly. But it did. We stand there in silence, the reality of our situation sinking in. We may have been played, manipulated by a master con artist, but in the end, the choices we made were our own. And those choices have torn us apart. As I walk away, I know this is the end. Not just of our marriage, but of everything we once shared. The love, the trust, the dreams of a future together. All gone, shattered by lies and deceit. We part, not with a bang, but with a whimper. Two people forever scarred by the cruelty of a man who knew how to exploit our weaknesses. Two people who will never see each other again, united only by the hatred born of betrayal. The house that was once our home is now just a place of memories. As I close the door behind me, I leave the past behind, stepping into a future as uncertain as the night itself.